We are now going to solve quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. We're going to look at 4 examples. The first, let's look at 2x squared plus 11x plus 15 equals 0. So we first need to identify a equals 2, b equals 11, and c equals 15. We then plug these into our formula. X equals minus b, which is 11, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times 2 times 15 all over 2 times 2. Now we just need to evaluate this using the rules of order of operations. 4 times 15 is 60, times 2 is 120, which gives 4. 120 minus 121 minus 120 is 1. The square root of 1 is 1. So we get 2 answers, minus 11 plus 1, which is minus 10 over 4, and minus 11 minus 1, which is minus 12 over 4. And of course, we want to reduce our fractions to get our answers as minus 5/2 and minus 3. And so it's really important to recognize that we have 2 rational answers. And when we have 2 rational answers, that means that we could have factored using synthetic factoring to find our answer as well. As another example, suppose we have y squared minus 2 equals minus 4y. Our first step is to make sure that we get everything on one side. So y squared plus 4y minus 2 equals 0. So a equals 1, b equals 4, and c equals minus 2. Now we let y equal minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c. It's got to make our radical a little bit bigger, all over 2 times a. So now this gives us y equals minus 4 plus or minus the square root of 16. Minus 4 times 1 is minus 4 times minus 2 is plus 8 over 2. 16 plus 8 is 24 over 2. 24 is 4 and 6, so we can pull out a 2, but we leave a 6 in over 2. And since the 2 divides the 4 and the 2 evenly, we get y equals minus 2 plus or minus root 6, or y equals minus 2 plus root 6, and y equals minus 2 minus root 6. And here's our 2 answers. And notice this time we have 2 radical answers. So that's a possibility. Okay. The next then that we want to look at is suppose we have 16k squared plus 24k plus 9 equals 0. Well, here a is 16, b is 24, and c is 9. So we start by jumping straight into the formula. Minus 24 plus or minus the square root of 24 squared minus 4 times 16 times 9 all over 2 times 16. That 2 should be black because it's part of the formula. So, evaluating this, k equals minus 24 plus or minus the square root of 24 squared, which is 576. 4 times 9, 16 times 9 also happens to be 576. That's not a coincidence, but you'll want to make sure that's the case for yourself. So k then is minus 24 plus or minus the square root of 0, which we can ignore completely because it's a 0. And so we get minus 24 over 32, which reduces to minus 3 over 4 when we divide out the 8 that's in common. And so we are left with 1 rational answer, and we could have factored this, and it turns out that because there's only 1 rational answer, this is a perfect square trinomial. The last example we're going to look at is y squared minus 4y plus 13 equals 0. So again, a equals 1, b equals minus 4, and c equals 13. So then y equals minus a minus 4 plus or minus the square root of minus 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 13 all over 2 times 1, which is y equals a positive 4 plus or minus 16 minus 52 all over 2. So 4 plus or minus the square root of minus 36 over 2, y equals 4 plus or minus 6i over 2, which is 2 plus or minus 3i, because again the 2 goes into both 4 and into 6. And so we get 2, y equals 2 plus 3i, and y equals 2 minus 3i. We end up with 2 complex answers.